So you want to get yourself a Volkswagen Amarok and you don't want to spend mega bucks to do it. Well, there are two entry-level versions that have just been added in Australia, the Core and the Life. This one here is the Life. Excuse the mess, we've been off-roading in it today, and I'm going to tell you all about the two entry-level grades in this review, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching. My name's Matt. This channel's called The Right Car, where I help you find the right car or ute for your needs. Is the Amarok going to be it, or are you going to want to skip ahead to my alternative section where I tell you the best other options that you might also want to look at? Let's find out. The entry-level versions of the Amarok are more expensive than some of the other utes out there, but you are getting a fair bit more for your money. Firstly, they're all dual cab, they're all 4x4, and they're all pickup body style as well. So that might make this the right car for you straight off the bat, or not. It really depends what you're buying this sort of ute for. Now let's talk about the two entry-level versions that we're here to drive today. The Core, which used to be a really big seller with a V6 diesel engine. They don't offer the V6 in it at the moment, but it might happen later on. Also, they did initially offer it with a manual transmission option. That's been dropped as well. So it's $52,990 plus on-road costs, and it comes with a bunch of really nice standard equipment for that kind of money. LED headlights and daytime running lights, alloy wheels, you've got vinyl flooring on the inside, a 10-inch touchscreen media system, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and wireless phone charging for tradies who are always getting in and out of their ute. That will be a nice thing. And also a great thing for tradies, there's a standard tow bar fitted too. And if you step up to this model here, which is the Life grade, it gets a few extras on the outside that make it look a little bit different. So it's got LED fog lights, not that you can tell on this one because it's filthy. It's also got color-coded exterior elements like the door handles and mirrors. And on the inside, you get carpet, a different interior trim, and a few other extras that do make it feel a little bit more special. But the big important thing for the Life is that it comes with the bi-turbo engine, not the single turbo. Tell you more about that shortly. And it's also got disc brakes at the back rather than drums. So it might be a better choice for you. I actually think it's the better of the two. An obvious alternative to the Amarok is the vehicle that it shares a lot with, the Ford Ranger, and it does have a bigger model range, plenty more choices available if you are on a bit of a stricter budget or you're looking for something that is maybe a little bit more work focused than the Amarok. So it could be a really good choice for you. Another alternative I reckon you should be having a look at is the Isuzu D-Max or the Mazda BT50, both of which share plenty as well. You can get an affordable D-Max, and there's a pretty affordable BT50 as well, and you can get them as single cabs or dual cabs depending on what you need. So there are a bunch of choices there, and they're pretty good utes, I reckon. And finally, another option that you might want to have a look at, GWM ute. Now hit the link at the top of the screen there and you'll check out my review of that ute. I drove at the time it was the top spec Canon X version, and it was pretty impressive for the money being asked. It's more affordable for the top spec version of that ute than it is for the cheapest Amarok. Puts it in context, doesn't it? Like most dual cab utes, it's a pretty big unit, almost 2 meters wide, nearly 2 meters tall, and also it's 5.3 meters long, actually a bit longer than that, and it does have a much longer wheelbase in this new generation version as well. Now, let's talk about the tub because it's a little bit bigger as well, and it's also still got one of those trademark elements that the last Amarok had. A couple of things I really like about the tub of the Amarok. So it doesn't have a soft open element, but it does have a supported lift action to it. So it's a lot lighter, this tailgate, than some other utes in this segment. I also like that it's got a measuring tape along here. So if you're ever caught without a measuring tape on site, that'll help you at least to a degree. And when it comes to the measurements, you'll see them on your screen now for the tub dimensions of this model. Yes, you can still fit a pallet between the wheel arches, which is nice to see. And you've got 6 tie down points in the tray as well, plus LED lighting too. So it is a pretty practical size when it comes to ute space. One thing that I don't love though is you don't get those really handy little side steps that you do in a Ranger. Oh well. I'm going to show you some footage of the entry-level version of this ute's interior, and you will notice a few differences. It's got a different gear selector, it's got a manual handbrake, it's got a different layout for the cup holders, and Well, a few different material elements as well. So this one here though is the Life grade. So it steps up in terms of material finishes. You get some nice elements to the cabin, including a fabric finish on top of this armrest. I know in the last generation Amarok, the armrest bit was a real issue for owners. They were always rubbing their elbows through it. So at least this one's soft. In the entry-level version, it's hard. You also get soft elbow pads on the doors as well, and a leather-lined steering wheel, or leatherish, whatever it is. It feels a lot better than the plastic wheel in the entry-level model. So it is feeling like you're getting a little bit more for your money just by stepping up a few grand to this model of car. So let's also talk about this media screen. I don't love it. It's a 10-inch touchscreen media system. Vertical layout, obviously, but the problem I have with it is that you have to go through the screen to actually adjust things like your air conditioning and that sort of stuff. I think it would be a little bit better if it was, well, a bit better designed, to be honest. Now, when it comes to the storage in here, as I mentioned, you get a standard wireless phone charger there, a couple of cup holders between the seats, decent sized door pockets as well, and a twin glove box, which I like. There's a top section there, another section down below, and a storage box on top of the dashboard. So you are getting a fairly practical experience when it comes to the front seat. Let's check out the back. The back seat experience in this new Amarok is pretty good, I've got to say, for the most part. I'll get to some stuff about it that I don't like in a second. Driver's seat is set for my position, 182 centimeters, 6 foot. Knee room's good, toe room's good, headroom's good. Storage, pretty good. Couple of map pockets on this grade. I think you only get one on the base model. There's a flip down, I'm not even going to open it because they really annoy me. Those cup holders in there, they're really hard to open this. I'm going to do it now just to prove that I can. There we go. Cup holders, proved it. Now, when it comes to bottle holder storage, yep, you've got some of those in the doors as well. And if you have kids, there are ISOFIX points in the window seats, 2 top tether points as well, which is nice to see. Not one of those annoying center top tethers either. They're actual physical top tethers behind the seats, which is nice to see. And I will say that it isn't fantastic from the parent perspective because you don't have air vents in these 2 entry-level grades. So if you are looking at a Amarok as a dual-purpose vehicle, then you have to look at the style, which does have rear air vents. No USB ports back here either. You do get a 12-volt port and no power point, which you can get in some other utes around this kind of money. So yeah, it could be better, but it's not too bad. When it comes to engine options, the Core model comes with a 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo diesel, and it has decent power and torque outputs. You'll see them on your screen now. Comes as standard with a 6-speed automatic transmission and selectable 4-wheel drive. And if you step up to the Life model, you get a 2-litre 4-cylinder bi-turbo diesel engine. If that sounds familiar to you, it's because it's a Ford engine, but it's a really good one. It's got heaps of power and torque. You'll see the figures on screen now, and a 10-speed automatic transmission with selectable 4-wheel drive. All Amaroks are rated to tow 3.5 tons as well, so it's ready for work. This version I'm driving is the entry-level Core model, and it's pretty well loaded up. Let me tell you, there's more than 900 kilos in the tub of this vehicle, which is pushing it right up close to the payload limit with my slight frame sitting in the driver's seat as well. So it is feeling the weight from behind the wheel. But I will say this, even this little single turbo diesel 4-cylinder engine is doing the job pretty easily when it comes to, well, engine performance, power and torque. Torque, obviously you've got more than 400 Newton meters, which isn't huge, but it is definitely enough to get the job done in this sort of situation. Having spent the last couple of hours driving the Core and Life models off-road across a bunch of different country tracks and mud pits and stuff like that in country Victoria, well, I can say that with 900-ish kilos in the tub, it does have a bit more of a relaxed and comfortable ride to it, but I wouldn't say that it's uncomfortable in any situation. It is firmer than some utes, but I think that's to its advantage in some ways because it does feel quite planted on the road in lots of different scenarios. What I mean by that is you are getting a lot more of the surface feeding back to you as a driver. And when you do have this much weight at the back axle, you do want to feel like, well, you can feel it, I guess. Some other utes, when you put this sort of weight in the back, they just sort of wobble and bobble and the nose feels like it's pointing into the sky, but not this one, which is nice to see. And if you are going to use your Amarok Core or Life as a full-time work truck with this sort of weight in it a lot of the time, then it's good to know. So what about other elements of the drive experience? Well, the steering, like the suspension, has been tuned to make it feel like a Volkswagen, and it does feel like a Volkswagen. Although I would say that I think I like the Ranger's steering just a little bit more because it just has a bit more of a directness to it on center. It's a bit more aggressive in terms of the steering reaction, whereas this one just has a little bit of a vagueness to it. And it's got all the active safety technology systems, so you've got the lane keeping system, and I like the fact that if you hit the lane keep button twice and then hit OK, it'll turn it off. So you don't have to go through the screen to do that. You do have to go through the screen to do a bunch of other things while you're driving, and it can be very distracting. Another big difference, obviously, for this entry-level version is that, yeah, it's the single turbo diesel, but it's also only a 6-speed auto, which does offer it, well, a different driving characteristic to the other versions of this ute. It does feel kind of a little bit more at ease because it doesn't have quite as many gears to choose from. But earlier on, I did do a bit of a drive loop across a pretty demanding stretch of road, and I did find that the gearbox would sort of shift between 4th and 5th. But you can do the same thing with this transmission as you can with the other transmissions in the upper models, in that you can lock it out. So if you only want it to be a 4-speed automatic instead of a 6-speed, you can do that. Same with a 10-speed. If you want it to be a 6-speed instead of a 10-speed, you can do that. I would say that the drive experience in this Amarok, the entry-level model, does feel, well, not like an entry-level model. It's really quite good, and it feels better than a lot of the other utes out there, which are asking more money. Yeah, good one, Volkswagen. If you choose the entry-level core version, the official combined cycle fuel consumption figure is 8 litres per 100 kilometres, which is pretty good for utes in this sort of segment. If you do choose the entry-level version, the official combined cycle fuel consumption figure is 8 litres per 100 kilometres, which is good for this segment. And if you choose the bi-turbo version up from this in the Life, then the figure is 7.2 litres per 100k. So that's what you should be able to achieve across a mix of driving. If you're wondering what I've seen during this launch drive of the Amarok models, well, I've kept an eye on both the entry-level Core and the Life models. You'll see both figures on your screen now. And I think they're not too bad considering we spent so much time off-roading. There was a bit of low-speed stuff and also some highway, high-speed driving too. So not too bad, but definitely not representative of what I would do on a day-to-day basis if I was driving a ute like this. The new generation Amarok comes with the maximum 5-star NCAP safety rating based on 2022 testing. So it is safe and it has heaps of safety technology for the most part. So let me tell you what you get as standard on all grades. It includes autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian, cyclist and junction detection. There's adaptive cruise control, lane keeping assist, a reversing camera and front and rear parking sensors, all standard. However, the entry-level version doesn't come with rear cross traffic alert or blind spot monitoring. And it might come at some point in the future, maybe a model year 24 update. We'll have to wait and see. And if that matters to you, I would wait if I was you. Now, another thing it does have is this thing called maneuver braking, which uses the parking sensors and can basically stop the car if it thinks you're going to hit an obstacle, but not a pedestrian. And when it comes to airbag coverage, you finally get rear curtain airbags in an Amarok, which is good to see. Plus front, side, driver's knee and front center. So airbag festival. Volkswagen says it has listened to its customers and has made a big difference when it comes to ownership costs this time around. There's a 5-year cap price servicing plan. Now you can either prepay it or pay as you go, and it works out to about $1,800 either way for 5 years of maintenance, which is about $2,500 less than the equivalent of the last generation model. So it is a big difference when it comes to running costs. And if you're wondering about warranty, 5 years, unlimited kilometers, and roadside assist if you do service your car with Volkswagen, up to 10 years. Pretty good. For me, it's a no-brainer. If it comes to choosing between the Life and the Core model, it's the Life every day of the week, because you do get that bi-turbo engine, disc brakes, and a bunch of extra things that make it feel a bit more special on the inside and look a little bit more special on the outside. But tell me what you think in the comments section below. Would you choose an Amarok, and would it be one of these grades? If not, what else would you choose? I'd love to hear from you. If you haven't already, please do hit like, subscribe, and the bell icon to keep up to date with everything I've got coming. And I'll see you in the next one.